Hey guys, today I wanted to discuss with you why prospects go cold. Yes, because let's be realistic here, even if you have a top-notch lead generation, very often some prospects will inevitably become unresponsive, which is absolutely normal. It's, human beings, we often forget things, or there are just certain reasons why we just simply don't want to respond to someone. Just as simple as that, yes. So understanding the reason behind why someone may be unresponsive to you and then addressing those issues can improve your conversion rate massively. This is also something I noticed where I, pardon my language, just started giving a fuck about why the certain people don't respond to me. And for me, why I did it in the first place was where one of my businesses had like a down phase, because business is not only going up, it's very often like this, yes, entrepreneurship. And I remember one of my businesses had a downgrade, and then I was asking myself, why? Like, everything is working absolutely fine, everyone makes money, everyone is happy, but for some reason there were some issues. And then I understood, hey, maybe there is a lesson to be learned. So I looked at all my processes and then realized, wait a second, this can be done better. And then I also understood how many people were I'm missing on, or fundamentally speaking, how much money per se was just flowing through my fingers without me being able to grasp them. So here are some typical reasons why I understood that prospect might go cold. So please tell me if you have noticed that some of, for example, prospects you were talking to might have gone cold mainly because of those reasons. So one of the reasons will be definitely just simply lack of true interest. So prospect might initially show interest out of, for example, curiosity or due to fleeting need to change something in their business, but they may not have a genuine interest in your product or your service. So this can, lead to disengagement once the initial curiosity fades. That's why it's super important for you, especially if you're taking the sales calls for your business or for a business that you're working in, to do the right discovery part of the call, ask the relevant questions in the discovery phase so you can actually assess the prospect situation. Because yes, by the end of the day, you're not able to help everyone, but if, for example, you're a business owner, very often you can genuinely see, okay, is there anything in the first place what I can do for this prospect? And very often you can sell him something that may not be fully done because certain things need to be, for example, just adjusted or changed. But then by the end of the day, this is up to you to find out, because there is not such thing as a product that is gonna fit everyone's expectations or everyone's needs. So if you're a business owner, you can very often just play with it a little bit. When you're a closer for someone else, this is obviously up for discussion, but then still, even I had situations where, let's say in my agency, I will just simply sell something that I knew, cool, we can build it. It's not fully done. I will just need to take something from this client, something from this client, something we build for that client from this service. And then by the end of the day, it also keeps my team engaged, because then I close someone and I'm like, hey team, we have a new client. This is what needs to be done. Let's work on it. New challenge. Let's keep it interesting. So that will be one thing. Then second thing, very simply, information overload. There is only a certain amount of information that a prospect or you as a human can obtain. There is only so many decisions that you can make, for example, also in a day, that are good. So bombarding prospect with too much information or a complicated sales processes can very easily overwhelm them, causing them simply to lose their interest. So in this case, what I will recommend you guys doing is just simply simplifying your communication and focusing on the key benefits that can help them engaged. Obviously, also after the discovery phase of the call is done, because one thing to say is you need to have a good rapport by the end of the day to figure out how should you communicate with the individual, because the way you speak to an intellectual buyer and an emotional buyer are two different ways. And then by the end of the day, you will also simply ask different questions to an intellectual buyer and emotional buyer. So that's the second solution to the second issue that I have discovered I was facing when it comes to just simply leads or prospects losing the interest on the call, or just simply not answering after the call. Then decision fatigue, yes. Prospect may feel exhausted by the number of decisions they need to make. So as I said, there's only a limited amount of decisions we can make in a day. And I'm pretty sure in saying that you heard the saying of, for example, Mark Zuckerberg, where he said he's only wearing the same things every day to minimize the decisions he needs to make. It's the same thing with you. It's the same thing with the prospects. It's the same with Mark. There is only a certain amount of decisions you can make that are going to be good. So if you're going to force your prospect to make a lot of decisions on the call, you need to lead them with the questions in a manner where they're going to have also enough time to pause and take time to process the informations. Because only then you're going to be able to provide them clear guidance and simplify choices that will help basically elevate the fatigue that they are facing. And this will also going to help you to utilize silence in the call, where you can actually give the prospect that you are speaking to time to think. Then, changing priorities. Very often, prospects' priorities can shift due to, for example, new business goals or personal circumstances. That will then cause them to delay or abandon their decisions. So that's why staying informed about their current needs can help you remain relevant, because then you will also understand what are, for example, their financial goals, short-term and long-term. What is, for example, their motivation why they are still doing what they are doing? Why have they not give up yet? If, for example, the last year was not as good as they wanted it to be or they expected it to be. So these are all the relevant things you need to keep in mind, and that's why discovery is super important before you do anything else, because then you can also utilize this in your pitch, which will, for example, be a sales presentation, where you can also, for example, keep people engaged, not like in school where you're standing in the middle of the room and then you just read a piece of paper and people are just not going to listen after 5 fucking minutes. You want to keep the person engaged and also utilize the information that you have about them in, for example, the sales presentation, the pitch, where they not only going to feel engaged, but they're also going to feel understood, that you understand their priorities, and that even if the priorities will shift a little bit, you're still there to help them. Then, misalignment of needs. There might be a disconnect in between what is it that your prospect need and what is it that you're offering. As I said, there is not such thing as a service or a product that will fit everyone. But then again, if you're a business owner, super easy to fix, because if you know your team abilities and skills, and if you believe in yourself as an entrepreneur, very often you can sell something to someone where it's not fully built up yet. I know it may be a little bit controversial, but then again, you can build it. That's not an issue, as long as obviously it aligns with what is it you're doing. Because if, for example, you're, let's say, having a marketing agency, and then someone tells you, I will need to build a food chain where you will need to speak to people that are delivering, people that are producing, manufacturers, stuff like that, then that will not work. But as long as it's in the spectrum of the industry that you're finding yourself in, as long as, for example, let's say you're only doing ads, but then someone needs some automations in the back end, someone needs to have, for example, management of, let's say, social media or content creation, stuff like that, that's absolutely fine. That can be done because it's still in the spectrum of the industry that you're in. So again, when it comes to the misalignment of needs, yes, please just assure yourself that you understand the goals that the prospect may have and tailor your solutions accordingly in order to just help bridge the gap that is in between your service or your offering and the prospect. Then, I think 1 or 2 more examples I can think of will be the budgetary concerns. Very easily explained. Financial constraints can simply prevent your prospect from moving forward. As simple as that, yes. Even if they are not even if they are genuinely interested in your product, your service. So the easiest solution to that will be obviously just flexible payment options or highlighting cost-saving benefits that can address these concerns. But then again, you need to take into consideration, whether I don't know what religion you are. For example, my religion, it will not be allowed from my end to do any interest. So what I will do, and obviously this is something you can utilize for yourself, what I will do is, even if I will offer someone payment plans, you will need to be sure that you will get your money by the end of the day. So as an example, if the person is not capable of paying, let's say 5,000 upfront, what you will want to do is minimize the upfront, but then make, for example, the monthly retainers higher. So your spectrum of work is still gonna be paid for, because the last thing you want to do is go for cheaper in order to make it work for someone, because this is not how business works. At least in my opinion, at least from my experience, but obviously it's up for discussion. So honestly, the only issue, or the last issue I have seen people, why prospects may go cold or go quiet, may just ignore you, is simply the timing issue. So very often the prospect might not be ready to make a decision at the current moment due to other commitments or timing challenges. And honestly speaking, what I will always do with prospects like this, I will just help them to optimize their schedule. Obviously, this only works if your schedule is up to date and if you know exactly how people operate, if you know exactly how to optimize your schedule to make the time as efficient as possible. Because simply explained, if you're not on top of your shit, there is no way you can help someone else. And then again, you will also need to understand how people operate, because there are two different types of people. There are people who are able to be per se slaves to their own calendar, and there are people who, if they have a steady schedule, they will not be able to operate. So you need to understand both spectrums, both sides of the coin, and only then you will generally be able to help those prospects as well. But yeah, that will be it. So just simply keep in mind, by understanding these common reasons, you can literally tailor your approach and increase the likelihood of re-engaging with cold prospects, especially because if you then gonna, for example, follow up with them, super easy, because you know exactly what the problems were, why has the person went quiet, and then you can just simply adjust it in the messaging that you're gonna send out. And yeah, I hope you're gonna be able to re-engage those those quiet prospects, and that you're gonna be able to hop on another call with them, because by the end of the day, by the second or the third call, you can definitely close them, even though the way I do it, or the way I do things, or the way I learn things and I teach about sales is to close on the first deal. But that will be it for today. I see you next time.